Hey everybody, Patty Ann here. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. Let's get chatting. Ask me any questions you want to and I'll chat them right back to you. But right now I want to show you what I'm working on. I'm finishing up coloring a page that I had printed the other day, and I saved it and I made sure to lock the layer so that now I can go back to my Cameo machine at any time and just pull this thing up and be ready to go. So let's watch down here and I'll continue coloring and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, this is what I'm working on, and as I said, I printed this off a few days ago, and so I'm just now getting back to finishing coloring it. I have closed the page that I did this from in Silhouette, but before I closed it, I did make sure to save it, and before I saved it, I made sure to lock the layers. And since the layers were locked, nothing's going to be moved in my software. My registration marks will be in the exact space I need them to be when I open this file up again and send this to be cut. It's already been printed, obviously, and I've already colored it. And I'm just going ahead and using my colorless blender a little bit and knocking down the tooth of this stuff just a little bit. Try not to bounce my table around too much, because sometimes I get doing this with too much gusto and you guys get to jiggling all over the place. So I think that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with all of this. So join me back up at my computer screen and I'll show you how I got to this place. Okay, so the first thing I did was I just found this image of the little girl that I wanted to use, and I right-clicked on her and said copy image, and I came over here to Silhouette and said right-click and paste. And that put her right in here, and I resized her to I think 4 inches maybe, just like that. You see there's a box behind her, so I want to trace her because I want to put an offset around her. So I just come over here to the trace tool, which is on the right hand side, the trace panel, click on that, select the trace area and trace her. She comes in looking pretty good. I could come up here to this tool so I could scroll in and make sure. Yeah, that looks excellent. And there's the artist initials right here, I guess. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say trace. So I don't need this square image anymore, the one with the square behind it. I can just delete that on my keyboard. This one, on the other hand, I'm going to go ahead and change the line color to black. And let me see if I change that. Yep, to black. Perfect, just like that. So the next thing I'm going to do is just put my offset around her. So I'm going to go over here to the offset tool that looks like a star with an offset on it. Click on that, and then I'll just come up here to offset. And as I recall, I made the offset, let's see, what did I make it? I think I made it 0.075. There we go. Whoops, too far. Oops. Okay, there we go. 0.075, and I like that. So I took the black and white image off. So what I did now was I clicked on this and I said Object, Release Compound Path, and that grabbed a little shape, a little square around everything, which means they're all selected. Then I right-clicked and I said Weld, and that made them all go away. And I need to change this to white because right now it's transparent, as you can see, because I can see right through it as if it were a ghost. So I'm going to come up here to where the little hashtag marks are, the crosshairs, whatever, and I'm going to change it to white, and now it's no longer ghost-like. Now, I did do this one earlier, and I had a little issue with it, so let's see if I still do. I'm going to move her back here. I'm going to grab both of these things, and I'm going to say center. Well, that time it worked perfectly. If it didn't center perfectly, I'd know there was a little stray piece hanging somewhere, and I'd have to get rid of that. So now all I have to do is go to Group, and she is ready to go. So I just made a bunch of her by holding down my Alt key and pulling one off like that. And then what I did was I fit these in the space I had. Well, let's look over here. I think it's here. Oops, not that. Here, here. Okay, so what I did was I had this space, and I knew how much space I had because I came up here and I put on I changed the size of the media to letter, because that's how big my media is. And then I changed and put on show print border and show cut border. And I also came to the third icon over and put the registration marks on. Now, as you'll notice, I'm not able to change much of this right now other than the registration marks. I can't move these little girls. I can't move anything. And the reason being is that this is locked. Now, I hope I haven't messed with anything since I saved this before. So here we go. So what I did was this. You must be in something higher than the free version. You've got to have the designer edition or above to have this option available to you. But what you do is just come way over here on the right hand side down to the very bottom in business edition. I need to go to the flyout menu that's at this little triangle here, and I'm going to click on the layers panel, and I'm going to lock it. And I'm scared because it's not been locked. I hope I didn't just mess this up by showing y'all. Oh gosh, I hope I didn't move anything. Okay, assuming I didn't move anything, what I would do is make sure that the lock was locked here in the layers so I can't move anything. And then I would come up here to File, Save As, Save to Hard Drive, and I would save it under a name that I would like to use. And then I would reopen it to use it in my Cameo. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to load this in my Cameo and show you how it's going to cut these perfectly, because I did have them saved with the marks. So there's how it's going to be sent. And I need to turn on my Cameo. I've already put this on the mat. Let me burnish it down a bit. This is that mat that's not very good. So let's keep our fingers crossed. It's going to stay on here well. Okay, and I'm going to use cardstock. I'm going to come up here to cover stock heavy, auto cut, auto blade. I'm going to move my knife force up a little bit. And I probably only need one pass. And the speed can probably be up a little bit. So I'm going to try this just like this. Okay, hopefully you can see these turned out really terrific. I did have to use some masking tape on my mat because it is so terribly old. And my cardstock was getting pushed around. So I put 2 pieces on. Hold it in place. Pretty sticky most of the places, but there's a few where it's not. Let's see how my little girls turned out. Now these are for my Cardz for Kids. Those are cards that we donate to little kids who are either facing surgeries or something like that, something traumatic in their lives. And actually maybe these will be more for adults, because we also are sending things to nursing homes these days through Cardz for Kids, since so many of the elderly people are stuck in their nursing homes because of the situation with the virus. So anyway, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. My biggest thing I wanted to show you today again was that you can do a print then cut. You can save it as long as you take the layers and lock them, so there's no possibility of you moving any of these things between when you printed it and when you cut it. Because I took a while. I went ahead and colored these, as I said, and I'll probably mount these on a little bit of, this will be on the outside and this will be on the inside of the card. Sending you smiles across the miles. I think some older folks might like this. And then, of course, we do put our names on these and where we're from when we send these cards to Cardz for Kids. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you liked seeing how to put the nice offset on these. My coloring. I like using pencils, and I just got those markers that I learned how to use a tiny bit yesterday. And I'm going to go ahead and make some cards. Hang on one second. I want to show you one more thing. I think I showed you earlier how I had made a bunch of different colors of these things that I could put on my cards so I could try them on different ones to see if I like the color. Like, oh, maybe she would look good on something like that, and then maybe on a white card. But what's nice about cutting these pieces out in advance is that you have something to test. So I would mount this on the white card and then put this on top of here, and then the sentiment on here. But I don't think that sentiment will look that great on that. So I might do this. And I cut all sorts of sizes of these. So I could put her on here. And then the sending, where would I put this? Let's see. Sending smile, you smiles. Like that maybe. Sending you smiles. And then inside would be across the miles. So let's see, I could take this one, and these I cut with that little cutting thing for my cuddle bug that I have that automatically puts these little stitching lines on it, which I like a lot. I'm trying to see, oh, this might be too bright for her. Yeah. You know, I almost think that I would rather have two different colors on some of these. I did make all sorts of sizes of these. So maybe, like for her, for example, I might like her on the purple, and I have a piece of pink on there as well, just to jazz it up some more. And then maybe having the sending smiles, like this, pop dotted up maybe, like that. I'm not sure if I like these the way I colored them. I might want to add some more coloring to these so that I can smooth that down and get rid of that tooth. But anyway, it's just an idea of how we can do this differently, just to kind of give it a little bit more pizzazz. Oh, and this would go, of course, on the white card too, so that pops it up nicely. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, please ask in the chat if you're live right now with me, or ask below the video and I'll get back to you about that. So thanks again, and check out my links down below if you're interested in joining our Facebook groups. There's a link down below for that, and all kind of links. So I appreciate it. Thanks. Bye, you guys.